I'm sorry.
So. Let's. Steve. You have the photos pictures, I saw. Trail. So Summerwood Trail. Actually, we talked about the gardens. I was gonna say, well, you use Hamlet, just, yeah, we would also that, you have the something. Maureen, I don't have my script, you want to use that? Oh, I got it right here. I'll just.
I got one.
I got it. I should know, but.
There you go. Can you read it?
No. All right, are we here? Everybody in? Can you hear us?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Thank you. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. The Town of Berlin Conservation Commission will hold its regular meeting on Tuesday, September 13th, here at 6:30 p.m. It's held in person, but also online, remote by video or telephone, as provided by the link. When you are speaking, please raise your hand so that we know and we can all stop talking and hear you. And when you're not speaking, kindly mute your microphone so that we don't get any feedback to come in. I think that's, should do it, right?
One of the other important points is to announce yourself when you speak.
Oh.
I'm sure you said that, so that for the record, so they have.
And when you do speak, please announce yourself for the record, because this meeting is being recorded on video and audio. So the meeting will be called to order. Thank you. And first order of business is July's minutes. We didn't have a meeting in August, so we can have any.
That you a roll call. Sorry. You are on fire. Chairman Di Lorenzo,
Present.
Thomas Heisler,
Excuse, he's not here.
Guy Hoffman,
Present.
Carl Lewis,
Present.
Karen Pagliaro, last week's news. Mary Catherine Rose here. Robert Ramsey
Here.
and Peter Zaragoza, alternate.
Present.
Thank you.
Will you be seated?
Sure. Well, there's 4 regulars here, so.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You have to do that.
we have to see them as a regular member, so.
Say he's seated.
And alternate Peter Serrato will be seated as a regular member tonight. Good to go on the minutes, Maureen?
I'll stop. Like.
I know you will. I know you will. We got that one. Typo, but that's not a big deal. Did,
I reminded them.
that's past tense.
Well,
All right, so
It's like, what's it?
yes, you can cross that over there, and then salvage on the.
Yeah.
Okay. Other than that, what do you say? So,
Second.
Is Betsy's name spelled correctly? Excuse me. Jaworski.
This one.
This, you gotta spell it. Jaworski. Right, so there is a P. So,
I wouldn't be able to spell it, but I know it's.
no, but I know it's not Sikorsky.
Right, it's up to the audience and citizens.
So spell it first. Go ahead, Carl.
Uh, not that I'm an advocate of raising voices at these meetings, but I'm having a little bit of a hard time hearing some of the stuff that's not hitting the voice activated. So if you guys wouldn't mind, I'm just not sure what's on the table right now.
We're reviewing the minutes and looking for an approval of July's minutes. Or corrections if you see it more. Probably those, but okay. And
You made a motion. Want me to remake it, because we have one more thing. Motion, accept them in, as amended, and I'll second that.
all in favor of accepting the minutes as amended? Raise your hands, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Peter was not here. He was not present.
No, he wasn't.
Abstaining. I wasn't.
I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna test the microphone.
Go ahead.
He had it in paper copy.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Sounds great. Like I said, I'm going to abstain from that because I wasn't present.
Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna reshuffle here because we have a guest. What looks like we have guests on first. Tonight you're a guest.
I'll make a motion to move the use of town land up in the agenda. Second.
Second by Rob. All in favor of moving that to the next item? Aye. So moved. Thank you.
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. Okay, Mr. Guest, we have Steve Wood from Buildings and Grounds, who's gonna tell us about Summit Wood Trail first. I'm not abreast on the Summit Wood Trail.
That's fine.
I'm the community garden. You go. Can you guys see that?
Yeah,
You see this?
now they should be able to see.
There should be 3 pictures.
Say about green, hold on, I'm sorry, the three pictures are not there, only one is. Oh, we'll go back to your. Okay.
Which one do you want? 1, 2, or 3?
The third. Also. We did draw 4 hours. 7 to 12 gallons. Never dropped. Thanks. The garbage I've loved it, we haven't gotten one. Every once in a while, somebody will not.
So my proposal is what I'd like to do is currently on the back side of the shed or on the side of the shed, it's kind of an unused area. And what we'd like to do is we'd like to build a storage bin there out of concrete blocks. That when the gardeners carry everything out of there, they have a place to put it. You put a picture 2. Oh, 3. Yeah. So currently, right now, all the gardeners are taking everything outside of their garden and they're just dumping it in a heap. So now it's completely prevented us from mowing the left side of the garden adjacent to Orchard Road, it's, all this is like kind of behind the porta potty, and it's really become more of an eyesore than anything. What we'd like to do is just consolidate it all into one bin that the gardeners can walk right out of the garden, dump everything in the garden, end of the season, we just come and scoop it. And then the third picture is we would have to move the wood chip pile that is there. We would just have to move that wood chip pile down a little bit to give us the access to clean it up.
It almost sounds like a compost pile without.
Yeah, are the gardeners using it as a compost pile?
It's, no, it won't work as a compost pile just because it's everybody's overgrown weeds, left rotten fruit, rotten vegetables. It's just all junk. You know, they have a compost pile on the backside that's completely overgrown, that has been there for a couple of years, that nobody uses. And one of the farmers is nice enough to bring a common over, which is on the backside as well. But we're just trying to find a place where we can just consolidate everything the gardeners are taking out and dumping it there. I mean, it would be nice to have more than one bin to hold everything. But we could start off with one bin to kind of clean the area up so it doesn't look like such, sure, it's just not a very attractive feeling to the garden and that whole area.
Then where do you haul it?
We'll haul to the town yard.
Oh, okay.
We have a dump right, a landfill right there, and then what we'll do is probably when we clean that out, we bring leaves for the gardeners, want to throw all the way through, they want to cover their bed, but they just want to put it there as an extra, if they're in the same plot, so they can look to. And mulch, the wood chips, we just touch up every year. We have a couple of contractors who do some tree work in the area, they'll bring them and they do a big job. And spread it through, and that's. So I guess I'm here for the appropriation, probably, I don't think it'll exceed 700, probably $750. That's what we're.
Shoe. I don't describe.
So it's shaped like a U. We'll put 3 mafia blocks across the back of it. 2 mafia blocks on top of it, and then 3 mafia blocks on each side, so we have 9 mafia blocks. I think it has a 18 feet by 10 feet. Heights 6 feet.
So I think some signage would be pretty cool, because you don't want people to take the bags and throw them in there, or any other trash too.
Yeah.
And you don't want kids coming. Sorry, that's what I think about this.
Call it, I know, could you call it a compost pile so people would know not to? Because really, you just want vegetation, in there, right? You don't want anything that's not, you don't want coffee cups, you don't want anything. So maybe call it a compost pile, even if you're not really using it and turning it for compost. And maybe that would help. Yeah, plant matter over, then you're not really, yeah.
Gardener diesel, so, yeah. Science
Yeah.
experiment, do that approach.
I don't think you want to say compost, because then you get questions.
Yeah, you will,
Yeah,
but then they're
what's
gonna
gonna
expect
be
you
fitted?
to use compost.
Is that right?
But I like that one, about, plant matter only. Yeah, that makes.
And if you get a chance over the next year, so just kind of try by, you'll see it.
I can see why that.
Yeah.
Actually,
That, so the hill to the side, that's all the waste and stuff that's just growing as weeds or.
That's it.
so Maureen, I know the garden account is not under
I looked at it today,
our code.
it's got 4,900.
That's quite a bit. Did you,
Plenty of spending on it.
It's for, essentially.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I mean, the look of the garden's changed so much over the last few years with better, the visibility from Orchard Road.
Yeah, that's
And with the new fence in there, and it's a shame actually to have it set up with a pile like that, right? And then it's,
Steve, does it make sense? I know it's easier for you to access it here, but if you clear the pile where it is now, on the backside of the side of the garden. Makes sense to put it over there to be a little more out of sight of the foot traffic.
That was our original idea, but the problem is, what we're afraid of is the further we put it closer to Orchard Road, the only way we can access it is driving along the fence of the garden. And as it's wet or muddy, we're gonna make ruts, and then that area is gonna get up. Or this is really the easiest place for the gardeners to walk out with a wheelbarrow, dump it. If they wanna grab wood chips at the same time, they can grab wood chips. It's a very short distance outside of the main gate.
Okay.
Currently, that's the far side, and the first picture we showed, with everything overgrown, that's where it was originally, where we cut down all the trees and cleared it out. There was no sight line into the garden, if something happened to somebody in the garden, if somebody passing by, would see or think we could help.
So if you just took a piece of equipment and just rolled over that, wouldn't it just kind of run?
It does, it just becomes an overgrown eyesore of what it looks like now. And the reason people are dumping it there is because that's just easier.
That, if I mean, that's a lot bigger than it was a few weeks ago when I drove by.
Yeah.
I went by to see, I think when we first opened.
Well, rain
I was
helps.
like,
Rain helps a lot.
And Carol
Wow.
did a great job. She sent the thing out to all the gardeners. Hey, can we please try to keep the area clean? We're trying to get, the butterfly bushes and get the butterflies in, to be the pollinator garden along the fence. And this is kind of counterproductive to what Carol's trying to do.
And it's just gonna keep building. Right, on that right side.
Yeah.
With it. Once it's up like that.
I knew I could do it somehow. Ah,
Yeah, it's gonna
Oh,
depend on-
boy, sunflowers.
Along,
Exactly.
and along the fence.
did you do that? Well,
You.
you're better.
You guys
word
have
things better.
any comments on that?
Yeah, Commissioner Zaragoza, I agree that well, for lack of a better word, de facto compost pile has gotten out of control. I was trying to help Carol clean it, but it's a futile effort. My only other comment is, how tall are those mafia blocks?
3 feet.
Okay, so I just question, would it be more cost effective and efficient to just have two taller slates of fence that run parallel to the shed? That would give us more area, or more space for people to contain the overgrowth and whatnot. I don't know if that would be cheaper or more effective, but I feel like I feel like it'll still be an eyesore with a 3-foot mafia block. But if it's too expensive, then if the mafia block is cheapest, then so be it.
Yeah, the problem with that, Peter, is we're gonna come in with a piece of machinery to remove all this compost. So if there's a stick or something in it, it's gonna just completely destroy the fence.
I gotcha.
That the machine can ride against. We'll try to make it as short as we possibly can. Like if we can pull off, instead of being 18 feet, if we can find a way to make it like 12 feet and still be able to get our machine in there, we can go that way. If we decide if we go 3 feet and 3 feet's gonna work, we'll try to do it that way. We're gonna try to make this stay as best as we can inside the footprint of the current shed that's there. So it really won't be overly visible.
Oh, no, that's fine. I was just curious if there could have been a way to create more space. I mean, anything, your suggestion is a huge improvement over what's happening now, definitely.
Is there any way, thinking of next spring, we could carve out a little bit of the grass there too, so maybe we can plant on the outside of that?
Oh, yeah.
Some shrubs or bushes or pollinated flowers to kind of,
Decorate it up, yeah.
decorate it up. Mask it a little bit.
I'm sure somebody can propagate some of the, burning bushes or whatever, burning bushes, some of the
Butterflies.
sunflowers, butterflies, whatever else they have right there. Along it.
Okay.
That could be a joint thing with the garden. Because I'm sure they have some people that are bringing out about, native plants.
Yes, that's it.
And that would be a great thing to just check.
Yeah.
what's gonna happen to, obviously they put the wheelbarrows and wagon there, where are those gonna end up?
The black bin, I don't know where it came from. That little cart, people kind of just use it inside the garden to grab their stuff. And then the wheelbarrows and everything are inside the shed. Like, I think somebody just dropped that mosquito catcher, that black bin, I think it's.
Oh, it's a bin, it's, I
It's just
got
breeding,
that. one,
it's just breeding mosquitoes.
Oh. But that's not where they store their
No,
toys.
Okay, so. Do you need a motion?
Yeah,
Started.
Yeah, I guess it'd be the, motion. For something that the, Conservation Commission supports the proposal to add a concrete.
or compost bin, structure, vegetation.
Yeah. Alongside the shed. That will be used to dispose of gardeners' waste.
That's. And that the money
And,
appropriated approximately seven.
yeah, and what would you say that? Think it could go over that, or you say,
If we go $1,000, I think that would be more than enough.
yeah,
That's
we
what
don't
I'm saying.
say that this and.
Up to
That has
$1,000.
a cost of up to $1,000.
Yeah, just might want to throw a couple sign.
Yeah.
Sign.
Yeah, something, just to give us some way.
Sounds good to me.
Second. Did you get all that one?
Did you guys, were you able to hear that?
Yes, I was.
Thank you. All right, all in favor of that motion, and Guy Hoffman had so eloquently put together? Oh, Carl, you got a comment? Please. go
Oh, I'm in
ahead.
favor.
Oh, in favor. You're voting.
He's voting. All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
I second.
So moved. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Steve.
Thank you. Once it's constructed and complete, I'll send a picture. Very clean area, up, good to go.
Great to go.
Thank you. Good.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Great idea. Hey, Steve, are you, before we leave the garden, I know it's early, but when do you close it down?
November 1st.
November first.
Okay, we'll change the locks November 1st, so.
You pull that sign in too.
Yep, we'll pull the sign in, lock it up. You remove the porta potty.
Good deal. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Take
Thanks
care.
for coming.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. We have a guest who's Susan.
Probably. Hi, Susan, are you there?
Well, we normally have to put down.
Oh, you do? Oh. What is-
That's
Fine. I don't want to
No?
make it, but I believe, you know, it says she asked me if I was going today. She
Okay.
texted me, but I don't want to make it something.
No, that's fine.
Just here to watch.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, but so
If they participate, then
Okay.
we will be.
Got it. Got it.
oh, then that's fine, just again.
Yes.
All right, so back to
Do
the,
you want to do Summit Wood now, or do you want to do?
Yes.
Yeah, let's stay on it.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so, if I can regroup on this first, have a second to think about it. The, Claire came from, Connecticut, but Forest and Parks had been approached to move the trail that goes along Summit Wood. It actually goes into the, Solix property that's at the top of Summit Wood. And they were talking about pulling it off of that property and onto town land. Right? So they're in the process of exploring that further right now. And having that happen, they'll move it onto the roadway. At the very minimum, and are looking at moving the trail so that it then it's actually on the town old land that's adjacent. And I'll pull that up if you give me a minute. I think, Mike, you've been part of these conversations, or Chairman
Carl,
Lorenzo, you've been part of these conversations as well, or someone else. Perhaps Carl has.
Carl, I believe.
And may have more information than I have. I just get copied on emails. Carl, have you been? Do you have more information with regard to this?
No, I don't. I have not been involved in this particular discussion.
Okay, so I'll continue. In this red box is the private park property of the Solix. And you can see the gray line is Summit Wood Drive itself. The trail clearly is on these private properties over here on the west side of Summit Wood. This is town property over here. So what they're looking to do is to get the access so that it's on Summit Wood or off Summit Wood and into the town-owned property and stays within town-owned property and even off the road if at all possible. So I guess this is as much informational as anything else. Nothing's really, we don't have any definitive information more than that right now.
Is the town-owned property go right to the bottom of the photograph?
Is it
I
all
don't think
enclosed in
so.
the
I
blue?
think it comes over this way, but I'll move that up.
Yeah, I think there's appropriate town-owned property that we got in the gas turbine transaction that will take us to where it needs to go. I'm frankly, I'm surprised CFPA hasn't pursued this. It's a really like a rarely, I don't know if, I'm sorry, I'm getting some interference. I hope you can still hear me. It's a rarely used part of the trail. It's of all the places on the trail in our town, it's the least used. I will say this, that it must have had landowner permission when it went through, because it went through when there were houses there. So, I mean, it's not like it should be a surprise that this was in their front yard. It's been there for a good long time. That said, it's been long overdue to get off those properties from an aesthetic perspective, not just for the landowner's convenience, you know.
Right, so it looks like that bottom corner is
So
not-
this whole thing is town owned. This is town land, that's town land.
Yeah.
That's town land.
So it's
that's
just that.
all town land, it's just that it's coming in. And it goes on the west side of Summitwood Drive instead of.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, Michael, that's part of the, how many 400 acres, what they're talking about there is part of the 400 acres that we got in the gas turbine transaction. I don't
Yeah.
even know how many years ago.
So it looks like there are only two properties with houses on them that are affected, those two.
Then if you move it to the other side, you've got the other houses, so part of it looks like it's gotta stay on the road.
Could you cross over the road? Does the
And
road
then go-
extend or is that a cul-de-sac?
Well, there's a power line, right? I can't show you what I'm talking about, but where the blue crosses the road, I believe that's a power line or a gas line.
I don't have the easement isn't showing up, but it is in that area.
So it comes, you see where the blue comes across, that's not a residential lot. I don't know if that's Berlin property or,
Property,
yeah, I don't know if there's an easement there.
privately owned.
Okay, well, I mean, you know, the whole thing could stay
We could say,
to the east there, right? It could stay to the east.
Go under.
yeah, could go right, right. where you-
Yeah, and it should aesthetically, it'd be better. I mean, it's not like running through people's front yards is what hikers want to do. So
Makes sense.
I think that was the original intent, and we just, like, between us and CFPA, with all that we've been doing, we haven't prioritized that, but I think it can go south, and there's plenty of existing tote roads ATV roads and things like that south of there to get out to Cat Hole Pass on Route 71.
This is probably the utility line right here. It goes through. but
Right.
they
Yeah, it
go-
is. Yes, it is.
These are the. So it
And
probably-
it's while it's like really scrubby and the footing isn't good, I don't object to any landowner saying, get this off my property, especially if there's town property that will bypass that in a better way.
Yeah, and they've got a lot of flexibility there. Everything that we're seeing to the, except for those three, the three houses and power line area. It's all town. Right, so, I mean, they could start turning that a long time, further away from there, and if it's better.
Right.
It's not like they're stuck with this little corridor. They can start
Started further south, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they could start
Makes
further
sense.
east and go, there's a trail up, Carl, from Apple Lane, there's that little piece that's the town's.
Yeah, that could work. That could work. What I'm saying is though, if you
But
just
I'm saying,
stayed,
so does that have a current trail?
yeah, the it's not off of Apple Lane. It's those hoop houses that Mr. Benaroop
Right.
had, but what so that's an access guy, but what I'm talking about is
It's
just
moving that
keeping-
there anyway, right?
yeah, right now that's the subject of some discussion right now. They want to bring it off just to the south of where your the pointer is right there. Remember we walked that at some point, Maureen?
Yeah.
But in terms of the Metacomet Trail, which is part of a contiguous trail between Long Island Sound and at least the New Hampshire Massachusetts border, if we just took the section that you see to the north part of the map there, a little bit, the one to your east there. Yep, you took that and you run it straight down.
You can actually see a little trail there.
Yeah, there's and all that. Yeah, and you can run it up aesthetically. You would want to run it up to the west, right, as you can. So run west from there. Yep, and I believe that's all protected. Or if it's not, it's nobody really cares about it because it's escarpment. It's all hemlock groves that are dead. So just take it down from there and avoid the houses just to the west of where that would be, and you're fine. I mean, I think we own a lot of that. That's 400 acres, as I said, that we got.
Yeah.
So.
Carl, I mentioned that one area and I wanted to make sure, I mean, we haven't done anything with it yet, but because if that was gonna remain the access point, we would wanna have them probably move that trail in to connect up the trail further north. But without that being the future access point, you can drop down closer to where the new one is and still be okay.
Yeah, so where the current trail comes up is just to the west. Well, we've moved a little bit. So I think what you're saying, Guy, and I'm sorry I'm not there. I had to work late, but it comes and it zigzags up to the point just to the west of where her cursor is right now. So
Yeah.
Maureen, like right there is where the trail, the access point on Chamberlain Highway meets, right there in that area.
Right.
So there doesn't have to be a change.
Right, so they just need to, it'd be best to connect it up by the time it gets to them.
And we've got that easement. That easement is ours. Whether they try to move it a little south or not, it's ours. So
The access of, the bridge isn't probably staying the same place regardless, right? Is that what we found out?
yeah, we've talked about a couple of things, but I think it's not that important where the bridge is, as long as we have that easement across that little waterway, which is pretty seasonal.
Same area, yeah.
It's probably dry now, to be honest.
So, I mean, I don't know, we need a motion or anything on this, but, just to keep us in the loop on it, but,
Yeah.
give that. you know, I think that they've been such a help to us, you know, they've got a lot of flexibility on how to do it. I don't think we have to micromanage that.
No, that's-
Worry about that property, just let them,
This is an easy one.
yeah, let them find the trail through there that works
Move the line.
and move it over. That's a plus.
Yeah. we got this. So, yeah, so.
That's really what this was more informational.
Yeah.
They had reached out, let us know that the residents in the area weren't thrilled with the trail across their lawns. And we're exploring where they can move it. So that's information. Commission at this point, because we don't have much more information.
So Maureen, before we leave this, just go down to the new property owners down there, that's still in
So-
negotiation with the lawyers.
Talking to the lawyers today, but they're like. No, they are actually, it was fine, and it was via email, and, again, they're actively, I think it had gotten slightly backburnered by the new owners. Most of you have probably noticed that the property's for sale again, sale sign out in front of, the property that has the hoop houses on it. So evidently, sorry, looking to keep the property or whatever, so, they are, however, pursuing trying to move the easement and working with the property owners to the south.
So the trying to, I know you know this, but best to try to get that done before they sell.
Yeah, I guess, information I've gotten was that they believed it was done before they bought it. So, you know,
That's
they're
the
actually
problem,
having
is that it
checked
changes
the,
hands again.
but we are working very hard to
I know.
get this, you know, so like I said, I actually, you know, with the attorney again today. And we know that this owner is the new owner that's operating the nursery at that site is, you know, does have the milling or something in right in the area that was proposed for the parking. That, so, just waiting to.
Carl has Carl would like to speak.
So the only question that I would have about that is, and I know that the new owner of the south property is willing, of course, to make this happen. Mr. Grimm, I believe we walked with, right? The only question that I would have is, as we walk that property, there were questions about the sight line for signage and parking, and I would hate to agree to like shift the easement if then the police commission or whomever decided that we couldn't actually sign it or have people turning left or right into that proposed 6 or 7 parking in it.
I had hoped to search for it today, before the meeting, but ran out of time, but I believe I did get the okay from the traffic officer.
Oh, fantastic. That's great.
I think that happened some months ago, but that was when they were supposed to fix it the first time, so I
Cool.
was like,
Okay.
oh, I have to find it.
Fantastic. That's great.
But yes, certainly that was actually the top thing on my list, as far as the engine, that was my top concern, so.
Thank you. All right, thanks. Thank you, Maureen. So now we're gonna move back to the old order here, the subdivisions. And Maureen,
I don't know, for those online, I don't believe I have, as they are, your applications that we don't get them all digitally, so we get them loaded up, so.
Some of
For
these
those
we have
online,
time.
I'll at least pull them up perhaps, yeah, a couple of probably we have an overloaded P and Z agenda coming up. This one, I can. No, I have this one. Just bear with me for a minute or two, but, bring it up. Regardless. I was gonna say a couple of them are. Yeah, would be not. It's not.
I mean,
Don't
it's all
believe
built
you
up.
saw
It's
it. So the
kinda-
first
yeah,
one.
it's not there, it's like, okay.
Subdivision.
So the first item is a 2-lot re-subdivision of this lot number 5 at the corner of Randecker's Lane and Club Drive. There's the power lines coming through here with a I think it's 50-foot easement through the area. And it will cut this lot so that it comes down somewhat to this and for a house to be built. So, neighborhood, the neighborhood in the northwest corner of town. I'm not imagining that, you know, there's no,
It's already a subdivision.
yeah, it's the re-subdivision application, so. The.
I didn't think that you could have. That's the power line?
Yeah,
That's the
so they
easement.
can
Power line's
build
not
up
that
to
big.
the line.
Also,
The power
line's
lines
somewhere.
are in here.
Right, so it goes right through that guy's driveway.
Then the
So
driveway
8
will be
already
Club-
had-
Club Drive, probably, that access it from Club Drive.
Yes, yes. I'm sorry, did I mess you up? I
No,
changed
no,
it.
no,
I thought
that's
that might
actually,
help.
that's actually better. I've been looking at this on, not this one, but other ones on the town site. And sometimes it's hard to know what. Which version is more accurate. Now, because on that first one at the other corner. The beginning, yeah, right there, on the other view, shows part of the house. In,
So that's the joy of the GIS.
So-
It's not exactly
right, so I mean.
justified for every
So
location.
that seems to me to be the more accurate, potentially.
That's gotta be.
Yeah. I mean, so they already have one that's like right there. I don't know how you build a house close to face the other road. And not have it.
That close to the middle.
Yeah.
It's a house for.
Do setbacks still
There is.
apply to that?
Inside of the house.
From the, not from the,
They can build
they
up
can
to,
build
up
up
to it, they don't have to
to
be
the
10 feet,
easement
they
line.
don't.
Because the easement
I've seen that.
allows for
Oh, yeah.
the width needed for
There they go, yeah.
maintenance and
Yeah.
their uses.
Okay.
Generally speaking, we do have some that are problematic in that regard, but not, generally not those big power lines.
Yeah, I think this, it just sometimes, sorry, I enjoy trying to understand,
Each, I like
you know,
to-
the,
I like to try to
how that
understand.
works. Sometimes.
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
So, but that is something to keep in mind when looking at the GIS, my favorite example is, the previous town planners before Mark Ellen's house. If you look on the GIS, now we know her house was built in the early 2000s, so new forms with zoning, made everything correct. And if you look on the GIS, the house, the property line goes to the house. So it's not always completely accurate. It gets rejustified as often as it's taught and whatnot, but it is layers of maps with satellite views, the curve of the earth. You know, you have a lot of layers from different sources being compiled on top of each other.
If I can, because this is something I was gonna ask later on, so it seems like there's appropriate. If you see something that you're wondering, do you have an encroachment on a open space? How do you
We go to the
decide?
survey,
How do you,
we
I
ask
know,
for surveys.
but even to bring it to your attention, you know,
You have to go physically out there.
Yeah.
Maybe the bins and see the
well,
So-
most of these places aren't gonna.
So Dave, our map guy and survey guy for the town, which I think Dave's actual title, I think he's an engineering tech, but I'm not sure. But he will physically go out and do everything. Power he did over, at the end of the line sap, he had gone out, he staked that line to show that property owner's encroachment, he, strung up a line so that they could
Because-
physically see the encroachment.
But to get to that point, there's kind of an accusation
Yeah.
from, that
Somebody
you've
has
done
to go out
something
there.
wrong.
Find something. and
If I see something, I don't, kind of don't know what. Am I seeing something, are they okay or not?
That's what we're here
Which-
That's what staff's here for, so that we can do our best to rectify, figure it out.
Figure it out.
We do a lot of figuring out.
It's always better to bring it to their attention. To figure out.
Yeah, and there are, we have, sometimes we may not have that particular property, but maybe we have one on the, up the street,
Mm.
where you do have the pin, and then it's 207 feet from that location.
Yeah.
And you can get to that next location close enough to establish whether or not there's a violation or a violation or an expenditure, whether it be our expenditure or it be the property owner to show us that they're not on. So, yeah.
Thank you. So there's no comment on that. Worried as we're going down the page, guessing next to the source, Webster.
Oh, yeah, okay, I went
Do we have
across because I went 1, 2. So Eversource, yeah, that's within their gas
Yeah,
trading
so I
tower.
think there's.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch to just take these off.
That's all right.
Enterprise is already done, that should have come on. That was in Webster Square Plaza.
For,
4 Rod is the one I just pulled up, the 500 4 Rod Road is the industrial building with a multitude of uses in it, including where Highlight is in there and stuff,
yeah,
and
this is gymnastics places up there.
maybe, but, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't recall. Up here, they just built they had divided this land, and here they built, this sheet metal building, where he's operating there and has parking and drives and a building up here at the front. And now this proposal is to improve this last property in the subdivision for a, indoor sports complex. Right in here, so the topography does go down quite a bit to the other location. It was divided some years ago into 2 lots with the fronting lot assumed to be developed. They then further divided so that this lot got developed, and now they're looking to that 3rd phase of the subdivision that was already. So that's an industrial property in an industrial zone.
Yeah.
I have to admit, when I first saw the property.
Is it what?
Property off of Meadow,
The one down at the curve?
yeah, which had a proposal. So,
This next one you've seen before. It was withdrawn last year and now has been resubmitted. It's for the motel lot just north of Meadow Lane. It was these small motel cottages, and now they're proposing residential units,
The little-
residential house, small houses.
Yeah.
They've been called,
It's a little house.
On the turnpike.
yeah, on the Berlin Turnpike, just north of Meadow.
So what is it?
And
Is it
so
this-
they've gone to wetlands, the plans are,
Right, but is this the same proposal, the little houses,
yeah,
the
and you saw the year
the
ago.
micro houses? or
Yeah,
whatever?
I believe you saw it a year ago. There are houses
many
that'll
are
be
there?
up to 1,000. That's what the regulation allows for.
Did they say how many?
I wanna say
They're gonna put a bunch.
19 or
18,
20.
20,
I think it's 18. I know there was some complaints that showed local paper people were very
Yeah, we
upset. These people
actually-
back
For
there.
the neighbors, yeah.
We actually also have a, what came in as a petition, but it's in essence, it's a text amendment to remove the text from the that allows for the redevelopment of the hotels using this.
But it won't affect this project.
Right, this will
It
take
can't come in
before that.
afterwards.
This application and before that.
And will that affect everything? So
That is
This
number
is number
4.
four.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it did go to wetlands because of the wetland and water course that goes down back here. It's found to be within the 50 feet and wetland soil, so they did do some studying. And there are actually, the public hearing is already open for planning and zoning commission. So at that public hearing, they announced that they would be bringing in some modifications to the plan. Would be very relevant to this commission, but fencing along both these two property lines. They were going to look at some other reconfigurations. As discussed at the meeting, there wasn't a lot of information. I don't want to give out good or bad information as to what they said a lot. When the engineer and the client talk to each other. So we are expecting it to be further modified. But they are in front of you.
So picture 18. Yeah, it's gonna be tight.
Couple of them are duplexes and the rest are single family.
I mean, I understand that they
It's not a
wanna,
big area at all.
I just understand that they wanna clean up these old hotels, but to.
Hotel is probably gonna be better off than
But that is to try and make this to infill already existing development and also to make smaller or.
Oh, I
looking for
don't have a
smaller-
problem with tiny houses, but tiny houses on top of each other, I'm not crazy about.
Just go Queens or-
because there's a couple in the middle.
Why, I'm sorry. Why are you-
So
I'm
it's
a
got,
country
it's got
girl.
like a cul-de-sac, it's got a couple. stuff.
Yeah, they're gonna maintain this circle, but
Really?
house. The current
I
proposal
remember,
has
I
houses.
So there won't be, maybe it'll be double,
Some of them,
not
I
quite, so
actually-
a couple of them are gonna be.
right,
Maybe
yeah,
like-
right, two or duplexes, I recall.
I'm not
It's
sharing my
probably-
screen, am I, gentlemen? I am so sorry for that.
About twice the size.
I would have thought they would have told me. I'm sorry, gentlemen, I just realized I wasn't sharing my screen.
No problem.
Right, you know.
Um,
All right, so there's no comments on that one.
I just kind of pull it up.
Yeah, let them look at it.
Oh, got it.
I got it. I realized I got it.
Little house living.
It should be. Okay.
Yeah, but this plan they already told you. Modified.
Yeah,
It's a
but,
double.
yeah, those are the hard story. 1, 2, 6, 7.
I can't believe I can't remember. the
And there's
number.
some of them up on top of each other. No, they're all single story.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, it definitely
two-story
does.
about one, oh, right, okay, 1 unit, right.
So the one curb cut and planting around the edge. Wetlands up to this edge over here, the wet soils are
Yeah,
right
little
up
circle
to
that
and at the
playground.
property.
And so I'm sorry, where's Meadow Lane from here? Is it?
South of this. So. Get you guys out of the way.
What was the cul-de-sac that was?
And Holly Court is behind it.
Needs to be studied.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yes, I got it. I know where this, right.
Holly Court goes up the back, is the shed guy, and I think are across the street.
It's got the big, it's got the fence up.
Yeah, it's got a fence in front of it.
And I'm sorry, Maureen, I might not have missed, is this in accordance with current zoning and the plan of conservation and development?
There was a zoning amendment last year for what's called planned residential infill development. And that the purpose is to repurpose non-conforming motel sites, because our motel sites are all non-conforming, they wouldn't be allowed to be built in. For residential uses, so it's one of the reasonings, if I recall correctly, and it was a year and a half ago, but for the rezoning was to vary our housing stock, which is always, it's been in our plan of conservation and development for years, and is again in the new affordable housing plan, as well as what we're working on. Plan of conservation and development.
Gotcha. And this would this have an impact on our percentage of affordable housing stock?
He has offered affordable housing units in here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's 3, it might be 4 units. I'm sorry, I just have too many applications and meetings whirling around in my head. I can't keep the data straight, sorry. But I'm thinking it's 4 units.
Yes, thank you very much for that answer. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Maureen. Staying on the turnpike.
So no comment on that one either. Okay, then this one I think you've all already seen as well.
Oh, this is the one that we voted. Did you see how high the latest foundation is?
Oh, no, it's not that, it's,
The one further up?
yeah, that they're gonna redo.
This is behind ABC Supply.
Access.
May have to just scroll, sorry.
The one where the water company pumping station is. That's what I'm talking about. I just saw
No.
the retaining wall that they put in there.
No, the retaining wall is up at the Adios project, which is
Oh, that's
what's called 2008, BT 2008 LLC or 404 Berlin Turnpike.
Oh,
And that's where they took down the old barn that was on the property. He's been subject to fill permits for several years. That's up here, actually.
that is-
I'm circling it. And those are both retaining and foundation walls,
Oh,
so
they
they're going. Well, some of it will
Below.
end up being below, but yeah,
So,
it's quite engineered. But there will be some fill and for the sloping of the site as well. So, those are already approved, permitted and everything. We're gonna be getting an open space area in relation to that, the parking that's, next to their phase one site. But then just south of it is the ABC Supply. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen
I was
again.
gonna just tell you,
Hold
if
on.
I'm not seeing them, it's not shared.
Right. There we go. Just south of that site, which has the pump station in the center, is the ABC Supply site, which is this. And this is the 550, 554, and it's for the 3 residential buildings back here and 1 over here. So that, again, power lines go through the property. And the 1 building will be this side of it, and the other 2 will be that side, there'll be parking, a driveway coming through, parking. There's also another site up here that's part of this project that is another commercial building. And they'll be changing the entry drive and everything to ABC, and this will all come through 1 driveway.
When you say residential buildings, 2 and then 1, not just single family.
No,
These are apartments?
Apartments. I'm sorry, I can't. The little mouse doesn't like to
Do they say how many units?
pat. I do. Probably that one. I think it's the old one.
So those
Yeah,
are like multi-level
Yes, yep.
apartments, like 2, 3 story.
Yeah, I believe it to be story.
3 story.
Okay. Hold on.
Sorry. Just curious what the density is.
Oh, yeah, I mean, and this one matters some because it's adjacent to our town land.
Yeah.
Which has been home to become more of an open space parcel.
The party over there.
Yeah.
The next door.
Well, with all the density that's going in, you need that.
So are you guys seeing the plan on screen or something else?
Yep. I'm
Yes, we're
seeing
seeing
it.
the plan now. Yes.
Okay, good. But just wanted to make sure I was sharing the correct screen. So 28 units. Ooh. The second one, 28.
Or 30, I think it says 30. 38 or 39 or
I
30?
think 39 units.
Wow.
Which I didn't realize. I thought they were at the same
4
size.
story, 39 units, 3 story, 28.
And in the back, another 39.
They're apartments, they're not condos.
Their apartments.
But we've.
And
we've
they
seen
have.
a lot of versions
Are
of
they
this.
gonna have any green space
So
around
I'm
them?
doing this last year, there's green, there's a walk, these are walking trails, these hash lines. Walking trails, a community building. For here,
Oh, that's gonna be part of this development?
this is all, the whole, those 3 parcels, ABC Supply. This area to the rear and south of ABC Supply and that area right along the Berlin Turnpike to the north of the driveway are all part of this parcel.
Oh, that's cool.
No, ABC Supply will stay,
Oh, really?
will remain.
So that's all
that
gonna be
is-
hardscape.
So the BTD zone is a mixed use commercial. With the ability to have residential as a combined unified site plan, and that's where they get the residential behind, so that's how the project to the north of it, as well as the RCB project even further north, were approved under those regulations, so you have to have a combination of both commercial and in order to get the residential use. What you want me to show you, tell me what you're interested in seeing and I'll scroll appropriately. Again, the pond is down at the far, off the screen to the bottom. The Diadio project is to the north.
Right, which actually, I think this is sideways.
No, well, yeah, north is going.
Towards the road.
The
Yeah.
Berlin Turnpike runs this way, north south this way, so north is kind of at 11 o'clock.
Oh, it's here.
Yeah.
And then you got that, yeah. Got this one here, right, which is this. Property. Yeah, that is.
I guess this is the only
There
concern.
we
if
go,
that's
3
gonna be,
buildings,
as I said,
160
that's a lot of
units and
hardscape we're gonna
100
put
native
there.
parking
And
spaces.
where's all that gonna go? Is it just gonna dump into this pond? Everything that's on the. There, the roof and the parking lots and everything, or even work its way down to what's that called, Fisherman's Pond? Sportsman's. Pond.
Sportsman's Pond.
Yes, and it's wetlands back there too.
Right,
Yeah, it's all. And then, they're not that far.
Has it gone to?
This is all,
Scheduled for next month on
Right,
West
see.
End.
So-
Sit.
I don't know, is there special mitigation they would do to make sure that it doesn't drain this way? Go that way. Am I being naive?
they're gonna push it all towards, looks like,
Right,
towards the pond.
so it'll all just become a giant. Oil slick.
I don't know what they mean by X pond, you know?
And
Yeah.
there's EX, that small one at the bottom, that's a small pond, EX
It's existing,
existing.
existing pond.
So you also gotta remember that it's not true open space land, it's on the Water Control Commission. So it's theirs.
I'm sure the water, should want a bunch of stuff draining into the pond.
I think
So-
they're open to the idea of access to it. But,
I mean, there was discussion
They
this,
were.
about this being more. And we had some discussion about that, whether it should become a.
Yeah.
A formal open space park.
This year.
With, as a dual, with knowing that there's a water pump station. Storage on it. Thought they were paying a consultant.
Yeah, we had the consultant report last year.
Right,
Do you
I don't
recall?
know if there's been any follow-up since that consultant's report, but. So, I mean, it's one of those things that's kind of. It could be right in our house, or. Or say, no, we don't want any of that. We would still have concerns that I would think about the Mattabas River and existing pond on the property. So. On any other.
So actually, you should verbalize that for official comments, because that is true. Beyond that. We're limited on what our influences or, And we did have discussions about trying to improve the access around the pond. There's significant challenges to that. Talking about. So it's a tough area. As well as limited access and no off-road parking. At this point. So,
Right.
a lot of challenges.
Right. And there's nothing in this proposal. It doesn't look like anyway. That would. This future trail path and stuff, but they have some trails around. It doesn't talk about any kind of easement or official access point for the town. to Use off of it, so.
That's another good point. I mean, just by virtue of it says future, I'm guessing that that's one of the last things that they would ever do.
Right, and it connected and it shows it going onto the town property, well, you know. You need to have that set. Now. If it's gonna work. If you're gonna offer up some kind of parking or access to that property from here. Then. I'm looking at this parking, it's enough spaces. Very easy to get
So I don't
spaces.
believe there's any extra spaces at this point because they did reduce parking to accommodate some other comments that were made in the initial process as well and by our consultants, so. We do have third party
That's not
review,
enough
but
spaces per unit. You're not gonna get change it. It's not even real estate for parking space, so the so Guy, could you verbalize?
Yeah, I guess,
concern
I guess
about
there are some concerns
drainage?
that are typical kind of concerns would be that it looks like the runoff and drainage from the buildings and the parking are all headed towards the existing pond and wetland area on the west side of the property. And also, it looks like there's some of that would potentially be draining towards. Can't tell what it's gonna be into the Mattabesset River itself. Which already floods in that area, so. So I think that that's an important kind of feature. And I don't know if there is any kind of thought as far as connecting up with town property or anything, that kind of stuff should be formalized. As part of it, it's not, it's something down the line.
And Maureen, like you always do, I know it's in the subdivision regulations, but can they put permanent post markers delineating where the town property is?
well, that's the edge of their property, so, but maybe.
Can I ask?
yeah.
Actually, it may not be that important because if it's not, if there's not an access point, it's not an approved trail. Nobody's gonna go tackle through the other road there. Well, it's
Maybe more, well, if trails were improved, we
That
would
would be
certainly
different.
wanna put something
Yes,
that, you know, limits
maybe premature.
if the Sportsman Ponds area isn't approved for public access, you know, and improved, and, you know, we do know that from our consultant report that it's clear there are people that do fish there, that do go in there, that do, you know, access the area. However, it's not assigned and endorsed,
Right.
you know, it's, I think if there was concern trespass, then the town would probably be the one that would need to put up some,
You're right.
do not, you know, limit of town property,
True.
do not trespass.
And can they
Whatever.
put their trails up to the border?
I think that's why they put future, because the idea was that, knowing that there was that connections, and that report on Sportsman's Ponds that was being done, that we were looking to try to have some outdoor space, activity, ability to, you know, if you connect this, then, well, actually, one of the things looked at was whether or not there's the ability to actually get, I'm not sure on this screen you can see it, but across the Mattabasset to get up to Mr. Diablo's project just to the north. When you're talking about with the retaining walls on it, and then further up the road, shopping, other things. So is there connectivity to do that? At this point, it looks like any ability to cross the Mattabasset very problematic. It's just not. It's not the topography and the ability to do without some extensive work probably required in Army Corps. Allow that type of structure that might need to be built. So that's not been great at this point, but
And part of the property to the north, some of the concessions or whatever that were allowed based on the report saying that they really couldn't do wetland mitigation along the Mattabasset because of the steep slopes and if they did stuff it might it might harm I don't know, like the way that it would erode, could start getting erosion along the river and stuff. So that they said instead of trying to do kind of mitigation along there, that you really couldn't do that. Again, they ended up being able to do more stuff in the flood zone. What would typically happen, I think. But part of that was to stay away from the Mattabasset and potential effects of that. So, right at this point, to see another project go through, the idea that breach could happen across there, go lines against what was decided just to the north, which was to stay away.
As practical. Any trans from. It's too hard.
You know, I don't know, and this won't be in there, I would think, but, you know, it's for comments, but, I mean, I look at this and I'm just disappointed with the proposal. This is like a 50-year-old proposal to fill up the property as best you can and to go as close to every wetland and you know, anything that you can do. Stretch the limits and put the line for the wetland right next to the building, right next to the parking lot. And you know, thought for what's there. And that's
Is there any recourse at all?
in the wetlands.
And in the wetlands didn't.
okay.
They approved. Is there any, I know this is out of our purview, but would there be any safety concerns for any access into such a dense thing for fire, police, emergency vehicles? Wouldn't be any problem with servicing this area?
That would come under the planning and zoning,
The
right? To make
planning and
sure
zoning gets comments back from
from.
the fire marshal with regard to access, and their drives are built at such a scale, for instance, this turnabout right here, roundabout, and you know, that has to be just,
Right.
yeah,
For
so they
fire
have to have all that,
So they do that.
all that ability to get in and around it.
Right, that's what's, we always talk about, any land that's available, it's real challenging. Shoehorn what they can. Thank you, Maureen.
Yeah, if you want to, I mean, we have all the other.
Anybody else? Carl or Peter?
Carl,
No,
Peter,
no, I think you summarized it just fine, Guy. I mean, you know, I think the you know, in terms of the trail connections, those are all hypothetical
Right.
Yeah, I also concur with Guy. I'm not a big fan of the project. I would like to see continuity trails and expansion around sports and ponds. I know that's outside our purview, but I do think that the project itself really does push the line on what's allowable.
Thank you. Thanks, Maureen. So that's it on projects. And Maureen, do you have any other garden tidbits that we might have overlooked when we talked about it before?
So we did get an inquiry that I got interrupted the other day and then gone away. Didn't continue, but it was with regard to, as we approach the end of the season, and I guess I want kind of a policy from the commission, a little bit, or some guidance from the commission, is as we approach well past the major planting season and whatnot, if they have a gardener that hasn't actually come through with their plot, can they just either assign it to somebody or somebody just use it so that they can continue to get it cleaned up? They did have somebody who inquired about, to the best of my knowledge, about late season planting, do they use the plot at this point? It seems like, it seemed to me that a year or two ago, that was fine, so that it didn't come just overgrowth, but
Was it an unused plot or an
Yeah.
abandoned plot?
abandoned.
So
I
that was
believe we used
a month or so
all
ago.
plots
Yeah,
this
somebody,
year.
an existing
I
gardener
got
wanted to
the other-
use
So
one
we
of
got
the,
one of those,
Yeah.
but then we got, I think there was another one. last week
so,
or two.
yeah, but that's what we did this summer when somebody left and somebody took over. That's easy. That's separate from fall planting. So we've kind of always had a closed season there. And as Woody explained, the lock comes off and all the implements get put away.
Right,
And
they really are getting a very reduced
And-
time period if they
yeah, I
clean it
don't
up.
know if anybody else, I mean,
Does the person get contacted at all? People who abandoned it?
no,
Somebody
that's
call.
different. We're
Oh, I'm
talking about
sorry.
fall plantings now.
I'm sorry.
Oh, not really, it's not that they want, but they will do later plants, that's what I guess I meant. I don't mean winter plants, I don't mean plants that'll winter. I mean, they'll,
Okay,
they'll
but getting back
harvest
to
a little
November
later.
first. Well,
yeah, they harvest. a little.
November first is when it's officially closed, right?
Right.
And that's in the regs.
Rules,
Rules.
yeah.
So, for example, there's certain things that you would plant in the fall and then you harvest them in the spring, like garlic. So since people don't really have a plot after November first,
That's the key.
that's what they're looking to be able to plant things
Well, that's
and
right.
keep that plot and be assured
That
of
was
that
not,
plot.
no, that wasn't my question. No, my question was the plot that's not being
Yeah.
used.
Okay,
Can they just, did
Yeah.
Carol just say
until
somebody
November
can use
first.
it until November?
Why not?
But what about this other issue? They can't.
Without
do
coming in from an application and
Right.
applying
Yeah.
and all that, it's like.
Is
no,
it
we're
someone that
past
probably is already there with a plot, and they just want to
Probably,
expand?
maybe their friend who comes and helps them, or, I don't know, I think it is word of mouth, it is a word of mouth issue.
But it's the person, the only thing, I agree, it's fine, I think. But what if the person, for whatever reason, abandoned their plot, but they were.
Oh, no, they were contacted.
They were contacted, that's what I guess I was
No,
trying to get.
that's,
If they've been contacted and they're not coming back for it,
They were
yeah, I think it's a great
contacted.
idea to use it.
so
And then the plot
numerous
gets taken care of.
times,
Oh, yeah, okay,
numerous
okay.
times is my
So
understanding
the
from Carol,
winter-
and I
the
will
winter-
say Carol is doing a fantastic job of keeping the planning staff out of the day-to-day things that we
That's a
were
good thing.
being inundated with. 2 years ago, last year, and this year has been absolutely, it's probably one of the shining things in the office right now.
But back to the.
So, no, they are not supposed to. Have I heard rumblings that people do, and then they, just get their plot, work their hard, get their application in
Yeah.
fast, they are.
We had an early couple of years.
There was.
Yeah, the Garlic Wars of
Yeah.
1812.
Right, that was.
There was some discussion, if I remember correctly, and I wasn't luckily part of those, I wasn't, supervising at that point, but the discussion I recall was if they have an early bird, then that really precludes others from getting to be part of the garden because it becomes somebody's garden because they already know the system and get in early and they have that advantage versus not. And I don't know that that was solve this which way to do, but logistically, I am not sure early bird happened. We might have sent out, they get the previous alert that it's coming out, but logistically, whether they really had much advance notice versus less advance notice. I'm not sure,
And
it
I
happened
think
last year.
It's clear in the bylaws or whatever that you're not guaranteed your plot.
Right.
So if you plant something thinking you're gonna get it and you don't, well, you knew
Might
that
not
was the
get
risk you took.
It's a risk.
Unless you plant garlic in every plot.
Well, I mean, so that's Mary Catherine's question, is there's no, technically at the end of November 1st,
So,
it ends.
You're done.
Yeah, you're not your plot.
so we did have some discussions about that issue.
Numerous years.
Oh, boy. It's a reoccurring theme.
Yes,
But it does create other issues
I-
that go against. official policy.
It's a tough call, but you
Yeah.
gotta have a policy.
Yeah.
I buy my garlic. Sure.
Thank you. Is it,
I'm sorry.
can I ask, no typing, does anybody,
Yeah, recorded.
well, maybe, can we make somebody know how to get, like, make a certificate of appreciation or something, we can get the nice frame for Carol and give it to her without, I mean, I know we have a little bit of budget, but, I think, does anybody think that would be a good idea?
Yeah.
I do.
Are you looking at me? I can do it.
You know how to do that?
I have tons of friends that.
Do. And we can-
I'm sure we have a budget besides, but
Yes, we
yeah,
have
we
it.
can
Look it up
order
in your
it.
pocket.
I just,
That would be great.
she did a great job trying to figure out how to get, new certificates for the historic district.
That's what.
So,
I'm
that's,
And I have a cricket machine.
What's a cricket? Oh.
those letters, those all kind of neat things.
Nice.
You know where your resources are.
Yeah, I mean, you know what, you don't have to keep here, if anybody can come up with some wording and we can email it tomorrow. I think that'd be a nice gesture, because she really has taken a real load off of planning department. And taking charge of the garden, which, and, it's been good, good year. And Steve mentioned that well is 14 feet down and it's never run dry even this summer. It's been exceptionally dry.
Yeah, right.
No complaints, the pump is working, the battery, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, really fun. Somebody has a wood chair, there's arms on one of
Yeah.
these chairs,
positive,
please use it,
yeah.
it's wood underneath.
So it's a good thing, guy.
One other, I don't wanna extend the meeting too much, but, I have a kind of a general question with one occasion in mind. That I know that with, other properties, including like Hatchery Brook and everything, that's a wildlife conservation area. We have other properties that I don't think have that designation. What do we do about problem critters? As in beavers. On town property, open space property, but not conservation area.
Okay, so what we've done in the past, Hatchery Brook area, we had a beaver problem on the Sheer
Yeah.
side, or, I mean, Ranch, Sierra Ranch over there. So I think the town goes in, Steve and Jim Orville, they see if they can do anything to convince the beaver to move downstream, I guess, or, you know, move the dam or something.
Start talking.
Yeah.
You still
Um,
have-
But over and above that, if it, I think it became a problem there because it was also causing flooding on the neighbor's side.
Right.
So then they might have to turn to certified trappers for beaver. Because it is regulated. But
Yeah.
So we're in-
1552 Orchard.
this is your backyard.
No,
Is it Belgian Brook?
yeah,
I think,
Is it dammed up? Is there access?
oh, okay, so, yeah, you don't have, or just to get to the.
no, it'll come,
Oh, okay.
otherwise it'd tell me when. Might have been idle too long.
You can actually see the beaver hut from the Orchard Road crossing, see them swimming around there. All season long, all summer long, there's been more than enough water, you know, probably chest deep, Belgian Brook. At that point, it almost dries a bone, you know, like 400 yards upstream. So it's backing up into this area. It's the dam is on open space property and it's backing up still on open space, but there are houses right nearby. Right there where Orchard, where it says Orchard Road and Belgian Brook goes to the right. He's right in there. Yep, just past.
Is that it right there?
No, he's,
Oh, I went to aerial, sorry.
Yeah, show us in the aerial first, so we can get a better.
Okay, so here's Orchard going.
and then, and it's right, it's, then there, you can see the wording, the brook runs through there.
There's the
Sometimes
brook.
it's pretty overgrown, it's not.
So where are we talking?
So it's.
The
between
dam,
O'Connell
the
and-
dam would be further down below what you see there,
Below.
Yeah.
Like south of?
No,
or
south of, yeah.
South.
So that property runs down to the pond that's there.
CRC is over there, sorry.
I think we're, CRC's over here.
That's O'Connell.
Yeah.
That's Angel.
So you have all of that space right there that you see, Belcher Brook and
Yeah.
everything that's in, you know, greener and overgrown. That's all open space parcel. And then it continues, you cross Orchard Road, going in, now you're. And if you continue that way, the open space parcel is there and.
So it's on the south side?
Yeah, the dam is actually on the south side, backing it up. As you move up towards the pump station.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, we have low, I'm just anticipating, like, you know, water's been really low. It's backed up now. I don't know, once the water level goes up some more, he's gonna build a little bit higher. If he builds higher, you know, it's gonna, you have 3 houses along Orchard Road there that have virtually no elevation of the street.
That's town.
Yeah.
I got to the GIS map instead of.
Yeah.
So it's an older view,
Yeah,
but
so,
I can identify properties, and
So-
now we're north-south
right, so
oriented
the
property
dam is somewhere in that area,
here,
yeah.
oh, north
That's-
of Orchard.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Those-
And then everything is starting to back up as you move upstream. South.
Up behind those three houses.
I tend to think that
And you can see
Jim
them,
has been out there.
okay,
I'm not
yeah, because you can see,
where
you
I
can
am,
see them
but I
swim
feel
by
like
and
I heard rumblings.
its lodge is right, it's right there.
So,
See the process.
Spencer Brook, what starts at the overflow at Silver Lake?
That's it, that's the outflow.
That's, okay, so that's the beginning of Belgian Brook. Yeah, so Maureen, would you be kind enough to bring it to Jim's attention again?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
away this week.
Thank you.
Just, just thinking about that, and then. Because we're on there, this is another thing that's got me, see the border for that property? Cause that should pop up as, oh yeah, we're not on, but for. That, the other section to the south of Orchard Road should pop up as town, yeah. If that's the border, or is it where,
Go, there's one
or
more lot,
is it where the vegetation?
go one more lot, Maureen.
This way,
No, to the right, no, right there.
there. That one's part of this house.
Yeah,
The
yeah. that's-
corner of Angeli.
Right,
Okay.
and that's,
Is the
and
lot.
it's actually on, probably on that property,
The Beaver Dam?
the Beaver Lodge,
The Beaver Lodge
Okay,
is
so
on
that
that.
is south.
on that side, it's right there. Yeah.
So we can- Well, Jim and Steve will figure it out.
But,
You're
So
right.
have you seen the dam? Where's the dam?
It's only-
I haven't been down there recently
okay.
because the open space, it's got a nice trail going through there and everything. Except that, the entrance would be right where it says Orchard Road, and got the, yeah, right in, just on the north side there. And it's loaded poison ivy. I can't find a place through that
A lot of what's in this year.
that's not poison ivy, and that's something that I have to keep.
Yeah, the same way.
Cause I used to walk that. And check on it, so, and it started
Someone
when,
was fishing down there with his friend a month ago, they caught 2 brook trout.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I was surprised, because I felt the water would be too low, too warm.
yeah,
The Beaver,
They-
yeah,
they used-
put it up.
they used to
No,
throw
no,
some,
that's downstream.
so, just as another thing that will be done. See the way that you have the vegetation behind those three houses between Elizabeth, to the right of Elizabeth, south of Orchard?
Yeah.
Yeah, see where the brown,
Okay.
is that town property or is that?
Oh, that little strip there.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, the town property is officially right there. It shows the, if you click on it, it's the yellow. But is that really the border? And if somebody starts doing something back there and getting rid of that, how far can they go?
so
I'm surprised it's not lawn already.
There,
How old- This picture's old too, I think.
this is 2019.
Oh,
So
really?
it's not
It's a
that
buffer
old,
zone.
but it may be, look, the GIS doesn't want to work right now. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's the pipeline.
That's the
Not
pipeline.
So. But there's a lot of places where we have open space that then also has a buffer. Or an easement line on the properties, and the current policy is that the house doesn't get, if it's a subdivision that requires that. The house doesn't get its CO until they put up the 4x4 posts and markers that say, so you're at your limit of easement. Do they get removed? I'm sure they do. We monitor them as we can. But I know they do exist in some places that I have them,
Because it's sloped down.
and they also have, in
That's the
some,
tax
and you'll,
collector.
you might remember, I don't know
Oh,
whether
they-
it came to this
It's sworn
commission,
out, how
but with
there's
a couple of our,
Yeah.
subdivisions where they put them,
That's why it's
for
weird.
instance, the one at the corner of Spruce Brook and, up at Pistol Creek,
Oh,
the one across the street from Pistol Creek, there was an old house on the corner.
oh,
And
yeah,
they
Um,
built that new subdivision, they have an open space line behind them or a easement
Mhm.
line. And that developer actually put in more like little stone. fieldstone markers and monuments, so they actually built like these little tiny stone wall. Big structures, and then put the plaque on those structures. Space, so it's not like the 4x4 posts that come on out. So we've gotten some of the developers to cooperate and do that kind of marker instead of 4x4 posts, but that's where we've got to probably, I would say by 2050. If not before that, and actually, one of the first houses, actually, it was when I started in 2012, 2013. One of the first houses I CO on the street in front of the house. I was checking for those markers on that house, so we've been, that policy's been a long time.
Yeah, but there won't be anything there, so I don't know what you do. See,
So that's gas company easement right there, isn't it? Though?
Yeah, this is a gas company.
They keep that clear.
they're not clear in that.
They're pretty tough about that though. I think.
They told me that they've been kind of forced into letting things grow more.
Because of budgets, right?
No, because town. I don't know if it was our town person, but
Somebody,
that, you know, along the rivers, because they used to just chop everything down. And they haven't cleared, they clear a little bit, some, but they haven't clear cut it probably 5 years.
but some of the home, like this house here.
Oh, yeah,
He
those-
maintains it as
yeah.
lawn, it's all maintained as lawn.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
they are houses, so
Right.
I don't know if they have.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
yeah, septic, brown.
An area
Oh,
that
I
are
think it's
protected.
Nice, I just figured that's gonna end up being an issue, I think, so if the town could end up with that. It's pretty, I mean, the first time I went to see
I
like
don't
where
think I
it
can
was.
see him, it's all poison ivy here.
He was swimming by with a bunch of branches in his mouth. So you hate this, but you know, it's like. It's so low, yeah.
That's probably the only reason he's gotten away with it also, right?
Yeah.
If it was regular precipitation, it probably would have known. Thank you. Anybody else have any comments?
Carl? Still there?
Oh, yeah, I'm here. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So moved. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
8:16.
Good night, everyone.
Night, thank you.